On the campaign trail, you had President Trump routinely promise to quote unquote fix the border on his very first day in office.
We will secure that border on day one. I always say, they say, what are the first things you're going to do, or the first two things? I always say, number one, we're closing our border. And number two, we drill, baby, drill. But I put drilling behind the border.
At that time, though, you had the media, by and large, bring on experts to deride President Trump and laugh at him by saying it's impossible to fix the border problem so easily.
He keeps saying Biden doesn't need Congress. He can stop what's happening at the border all by himself. Can you fact check that for us? Because we here all know that's not true.
Republicans have been saying, largely wrongly, right? Because saying that the president can close the border unilaterally on his own. The president actually doesn't have the authority under law to do that.
There's only so much President Biden can do with executive action, and he did try to do whatever he could.
They actually are doing everything they can.
However, despite their criticism, as an objective reality, President Trump really did secure the border, according to the latest numbers, which they were so dramatic, I had to triple check them just to make sure that it wasn't some kind of a clerical or a typo error. But border crossings are down at least 95%. To give you an idea of how dramatic of a change this is, in 2024, under the tail end of the Biden administration, roughly 4,000 illegal migrants were getting released into the U.S. every day. That's 4,000 people every single day on average. However, during Trump's first 100 days in office, 9 illegal aliens were released into the U.S. Not 9 per day, 9 people were released in the span of 100 days. That was an immediate 99.99% drop, and it's continued ever since. Trump is now close to 1 year in office, and you have border encounters at the lowest level in recorded U.S. history. You have gotaways, meaning people who were able to evade Border Patrol. They're also down 99%. And just in general, the entire cartel human smuggling enterprise has effectively been shut down. Now, the next phase is to get the criminal subset of illegal aliens out of the country, which is proving to be a lot harder than just closing the border. Because now ICE is having to go into local communities here in America to find these people. And they're like needles in a haystack. And in many places, the local jurisdiction is no help at all. In cities like Chicago, Denver, New York, Philadelphia, they all have sanctuary policies in place that literally stop law enforcement from being able to help federal ICE agents. Some places, though, have gone even one step further. For instance, on Tuesday, October 14th, you had LA County, Los Angeles County, they declared a state of emergency over these ICE raids, saying that, among other things, the county will provide rent relief for tenants who have fallen behind on rent as a result of ICE enforcement operations, meaning they will literally pay the rent of illegal aliens who either can't go to work for fear of getting caught by ICE, or in another scenario, if the breadwinner of the household gets deported by ICE, LA County will pay the rent for his family. In addition, according to the declaration as it was passed, on top of rent relief, LA County will also use taxpayer funds to provide legal services to those who were affected. And on top of that, it also allows the county supervisors to, quote, mobilize resources, request state and federal financial assistance to respond to the impacts of the raids, and expedite contracting to address the crisis. In explaining why this declaration needed to go into effect, you had Ms. Lindsay Horvath, who was one of the LA County supervisors who actually introduced this declaration to be voted on. She said the following, quote, what's happening in our communities is an emergency, and Los Angeles County is treating it like one. Declaring a local emergency ensures that the full weight of county government is aligned to support our immigrant communities who are being targeted by federal actions. For months, families have lived under threat and workers have been taken from job sites. This proclamation is about action and speed. It allows us to move faster, coordinate better, and use every tool available to protect and to stabilize our communities. We will continue to stand with our immigrant neighbors today and for as long as it takes. Also, you had another statement from another LA County supervisor, Ms. Janice Hahn, who added the following.
What's happening across Los Angeles County is an emergency. It may not be a wildfire or an earthquake, but it is a man-made emergency created by our own federal government.
And what's really ironic about this statement, the reason I wanted to highlight it, is because both sides of the political aisle would actually probably agree with it. Because the conservative position is that the federal government under the Biden administration did create this emergency by letting in millions of people unfettered through the U.S. southern border. However, the progressive position is also that the crisis comes from the U.S. federal government, but in their eyes, it comes from the Trump administration, who's now trying to round all these people up and send them back home. It's basically like that famous painting, not a painting, but it's a picture, and depending on how you look at it, it's either a beautiful woman or an ugly old hack. It's the same photo, just depending on how you look at it, it's two different things. So in this case, both the progressive and conservative position is that this emergency was created by the federal government. They differ on what they mean by that. Regardless, the one other thing I wanted to mention was a statistic that the LA County government used in order to justify the state of emergency. In the text of their declaration, their proclamation for the state of emergency, they wrote the following, quote, "According to a recent study, industries such as construction and agriculture would contract by 16% and 14% respectively statewide, and overall impact of workforce loss could result in $275 billion in losses to gross domestic product output. California saw a 3.1% drop in private sector employment the week immediately after the Trump administration stepped up immigration raids in California." The reason that I wanted to highlight this point specifically is because it is a wild statistic. That almost sounds like a conspiracy theory from 10 years ago, that enforcing our immigration laws will immediately depress the number of construction workers in California by 16%, and California's entire employment rate will dip by over 3 percentage points. Now, that's something else. I mean, just the level to which that particular state relies on illegal aliens for its economy. All right, just to pause here for a super quick moment, I'd like to introduce our sponsor and my own personal gold dealer, American Hartford Gold. Now, as soon as the latest round of tariffs hit, almost immediately, the stock market hit some serious waves, we could say. It became super turbulent, very volatile, and of course, these conditions don't just affect Wall Street, they affect all of us with our investments and our retirement accounts. That's why I want to introduce a company that I trust and I use myself to help secure my own savings, American Hartford Gold. They specialize in helping Americans move their assets into something tangible, something you can actually hold, physical gold and physical silver. Two precious metals that help me sleep better at night, knowing that I have a hedge against all those brilliant decisions being made over in Washington. Now, they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, they have thousands of 5-star reviews, and they make the whole buying process super simple. Your metals can be shipped directly to your doorstep, or you can transfer your current retirement account to a tax-advantaged gold IRA. And the best part is that right now, American Hartford Gold is offering an exclusive buy one, get one deal for my viewers. When you call them and mention my name, Roman, for every 1 ounce of gold that you purchase, you can get 1 ounce of free silver. And so take advantage of this special offer. Either call 866-242-2352 or simply text Roman to 65532. That's again, 866-242-2352 or text Roman to 65532. I'll also throw their information. It'll be down in the description box below. Regardless, though, that's the situation currently playing itself out over in LA County. You have immigration raids happening again because of the U.S. Supreme Court decision that we discussed in a prior episode. On the streets, you have people, of course, protesting against the ICE raids by surrounding ICE facilities and holding up placards, sometimes getting violent, but for the most part, it appears to, at the moment, be nonviolent. Then you have the LA County government basically declare a state of emergency, and now they're going to be offering rent assistance and legal assistance to these illegal aliens. So that's on the one side. And of course, you have the job losses that they mentioned as well. On the flip side, however, you can say positive developments, because I've anecdotally been hearing evidence that the highways are a lot less clogged. People are able to get to work faster just because there's so much less cars, because so many less people are going to work, and so many people have also been deported or self-deported. Also, statistics regarding housing starts are also relatively wild. Basically, housing starts using the FHA government-backed loan program, they have dipped almost exclusively because non-U.S. citizens are no longer receiving loans through that program. So U.S. citizens can take advantage and be more competitive in the housing market. And that's aside from the fact that if indeed construction jobs fell by 16%, that's a lot of job openings that U.S. citizens can take advantage of. So there's two sides to that story. If you want to read the full emergency proclamation from the LA County government, I'll throw a link to the PDF version of it. You'll be able to find it down in the description box below. If you want to read the whole thing in its entirety, it's only several pages long. Also, on a completely unrelated separate topic, we recently published a solid episode detailing how airport workers, meaning like pilots and the staff, because they don't go through the normal TSA checkpoints like you and I, the passengers, do, there's been an epidemic of airline staffers bringing guns to the airport. And sometimes it's not even just one gun in their bag. Some people are actually using this loophole to basically run guns throughout the whole country using the airlines. If you want to check out that episode, it's on my new channel called Primetime. I'll throw a link to it. You can find it right there at the top of the description box below. Hope you check it out. Well, that episode is good, but then the whole show is good too. There's over 50 episodes on there now, so subscribe because we publish there right now more often than we do on this channel. So check it out. Hope you subscribe there. Now we can get more content throughout the whole week. And then until next time, I'm your host, Roman from the Epoch Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.